player.
For real? With Magi?
Yeah. I feel he has fitted in so well with them and just synergizes with the rest of the team to a degree where it doesn't even cross my mind anymore. I just watch them as a unit, and I think half the time if you would ask me if they had a roster swap or a player change, I would say like, what? No, they've been playing with him forever. So this actually impresses me a lot by them, and of course it is a bit of a disadvantage maybe. But at this point, I just want to use the opportunity to give a bit of a shout out to Magi here, because he has definitely played a fantastic tournament with them, considering how little time they had as a 5-man.
I mean, we're just going right through this draft. KSV still sticking to the Tyrael ban. And then a Snap Genji picked up by Ballistics, finally taken away from KSV for the first time in the series.
Yep.
But they get the Lucio and, more importantly, the Abathur, which has been so problematic throughout the entire tournament.
Abathur on Towers of Doom. And the Tyrael ban is definitely funny. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So at this point, Tyrael banned out. We have Ballistics responding with Murden for Hooligan and Dehaka for Jongha. Definitely one of my favorite heroes to see him on, especially after that performance against KSV Black the last time. So you have a global that can counter Abathur to an extent. Genji already taken. So KSV is currently thinking about maybe even banning out Li Ming, trying to make sure that there's no double reset combo on the side of Ballistics.
I'm still just sitting here in awe of the fact that Towers of Doom was selected by KSV, and they're in the second pick slot here. Just so uncharacteristic of them in terms of map priority. They're going to looking at the Li Ming removal, not wanting to give over an opportunity for that double reset, but at that point, am I too concerned with it? It seems like it's enough for them to want to rid of it. But with an Abathur composition, generally, I don't feel like committing to that double reset is too intimidating, especially when the double warrior pairing is with the Dehaka that has such a small time frame at which he can be effective for those initiations. Murden, not quite the case there, but for Dehaka in particular, generally, you know, like that Arthas where it's continuous opportunities to be able to set those up. But they take away, and so I've got to ask, like, maybe an Anubarak gets picked up solely based off of seeing that, but again, it could be that just the removal of double reset.
Banning out Illidan over Greymane. Rich, of course, fantastic on Illidan, has shown it a few times. Puts a smile on the face of KSV Black immediately, so the respect ban against Rich. Dehaka, just simply, at this point they are simply saying we would rather deal with your Greymane copy than with Illidan.
No surprise either. If you've watched Rich play Illidan throughout this tournament, he'll play it about on any map, even Dragonshire, and especially into a Dehaka. If he didn't feel like he was comfortable enough in the 1v1 before, he's got the Abathur Hap to really kind of manipulate it into his favor, even though we talked about it last time they played. Jongha, he was looking at it and he was like, nah, I got your number.
Yeah. I would have loved to see that rematch. Just put both of them at the top lane and no outside
Nobody
help.
respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give the respect. The gentleman's 1v1 up in top.
Exactly. Make it like two different games. One is the top lane, the next one is the rest of the map.
So with the Illidan taken away,
I mean, Greymane has to be one.
I mean, yeah, it's the Greymane at this point in time just for the damage output alone. But no, they go away from it. This is interesting.
So Arthas can be pretty scary, not only as a copy, but also for the symbiote. That definitely works out. You would have expected Greymane to be taken here, but again, symbiote Arthas is pretty strong, and if you have a double Arthas after the copy walking into your backline, that's also pretty solid. What's our thought process on the monstrosity that they used in the group stage? That's pretty much not going to be effective.
Yeah,
right?
No, the thought process behind it was very much that they were all in hat build for Illidan, and on a map where they needed to respect the global pressure out, and you could get away with it by going the monstrosity, but still getting the accent of the hat onto the Illidan. We have no Illidan, and there is not enough targets on the side of KSV for us to see that. But that being said, still wouldn't count it out, man. That thing has gotten sleeper buffs for just only a year, and no one has taken the time to be like, you know, what does this thing happen? Because it chunks when it gets full stacks.
You know what I would like
for
them to make with their monstrosity? Maybe on the damage output, make it a little bit worse, but make something so that when you had full stacks with the monstrosity, you got the burrow ability. Make it a quest at some point. That would be something where I would like,
a quest for a heroic?
Yeah, for the 20. I could get behind it.
You know, I guess Malthel did it. Why can't he? Rhaegar and Chromie are the pickup for Ballistics. Chromie feels, to be honest, a little out of place here. It seems assuming that this is going to be a double support Vala hypercarry style composition, and though it is kind of indicated in that direction, they don't have to commit to it, though.
I don't think you're going to see another support out of KSV.
I don't think so either.
If you have Abathur, that basically counts as a support.
to a certain extent. They go with the mouth, though.
Is that going to trigger Hooligan's Playmaker?
Could be the case.
I mean, normally when we see it, like one of the main arguments that you would get Haymaker is that if Malthael moves in and pops his ult, you can just simply Haymaker him out of the fight and he doesn't get any value.
But at 13, you get inevitable in and you can't be Haymakered. So it does provide like that kind of, do you want to take that window when you're really only going to be able to stop a small frame, and when you have Arthas on your team, to be able to body block, get the slows, and make it harder for Muradin to move in. I'm not saying it's not possible, because yeah, that was the argument for it for a lot, but it does feel in this case it's one of those, do you really want to take that type of risk and commitment? We'll find out, because Ballistics got to do some kind of risk here.
If I know Hooligan, then the answer to the question is a big, big yes.
No hesitation.
We were talking about the guy that against Dignitas jumped into 5 heroes without Avatar.
You know, I mean, sometimes you got to ask yourself, is it worth the dwarf toss? And sometimes you don't even second guess yourself. You just go, yep, you stick to the first one.
Alright, game number 3. Keep in mind, this could be the last map of the series. KSV Black has the 2-0 lead here. Towers of Doom is going to be the third and maybe even the final map. Ballistics has looked a lot stronger on the second map, where they once again put SC on the damage dealer. We expect the same thing to happen here once more. Chromie felt a bit interesting in the composition. By no means a bad hero, especially on Towers of Doom. But let's see how much of an impact she can actually have on the match now.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of this is going to come down to how impactful she is onto this map. I mean, yeah, we know the consistent stalling tactics that she can have around some of those altars and how problematic she can be in that sense, but at the highest end of competitive Heroes of the Storm, it's very rare that those kind of attributes towards her become the reason that she gets selected. It's more so the, you know, compositional weakness on the other side adding on top of that, and it doesn't feel like I see that hole as clearly with KSV. You know, normally we see it's either the Gul'dan or the Chromie as those kind of responders, and Chromie being better than the Gul'dan as that, but into a hero like Abathur, I personally feel like the Gul'dan typically is the one who's better, just based on the fact that he really can just pressure the map so hard that Abathur has nowhere to really sit back and be the slug he was born to be, get the free XP.
Well, Riz getting ready for the match to start, so are we. Malthael going to be his hero. Hooligan is very excited about the game to come.
No fear there. Just not even, you know, just another day in the office here for Hooligan. Even being down 2 games here, these guys know how to keep their cool.
I mean, I might be completely wrong, but when I look at Hooligan, I think he's the guy who definitely has zero respect. I mean, the way that he presents himself and when he heads into these games, I can't simply picture him sitting there and being like, "Oh my God, guys, I'm being full nervous. Yeah, I'm playing a nervous point."
Playing a nervous point.
Can you see him in that role? I just can't. The kid is so out there. He's so confident all the time.
I definitely see whatever you're talking about. I don't know if it's bold confidence. Definitely a little bit of confidence there, but I can't help but feel like there's, you know, just a dash of something else here.
Especially from a Korean mentality aspect. He's extremely extroverted.
Yeah, very much so.
Maybe not if you measure it on Western standards.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, guy's way more outspoken than myself. He definitely gets like life of the party. Not Swoy level life of the party.
Oh yeah, Swoy. I mean, you can't beat Swoy.
No, you can't. But this is it here for Ballistics, that they are going to, you know, move on to what will be the grand finals and avoid getting knocked into the losers bracket. Down already 0-2 on a map that generally you don't see KSV pick, so I'm hoping that's something Ballistics uses to recover in this situation.
We're heading into game number 3. The winner of the series moves on to the grand final, whereas the loser falls down into the lower bracket when they will have to face off against a team Dignitas tomorrow. So we have already on Abathur commitment into the shield build on level 1 at least. An adjustment that we have seen a little bit more often during the tournament. Especially, of course, if you're trying to be a bit more supportive. We have a lot of solo support compositions these days, but even with solo supports, we've seen Medivhs, we've seen Abathurs, just trying to provide a little bit extra survivability for the main damage dealers.
I believe this is the first time we have seen this Abathur build played in the tournament that is not played by a Chinese team. I believe we've seen it this is going to be the 3rd time that it's come to life, and both times it was either SPT or BTG was the team that ended up committing to it. So it's going to be interesting to see maybe some of the diversity and how that is played here by Kyocha.
Yeah, for now we have at the top lane Malthael. He's gonna face off against Genji actually in the early stages. And Chromie making her way down to the bot lane. SC is so far safe. Again, Zhongha with a nice drag here. Immediately interrupted by Sake. And we have a 4 versus 4 battle with a nice Howling Blast against Zhongha, but he's still able to go for the burrow and move out.
This is what that kind of situation I was talking about, though, between the Chromie and Gul'dan is like, if you aren't responding to the siege until the right part of the map here, Chromie is very, very slow at getting that pressure out, and it's not going to be, you know, as this shield build gets stronger and stronger, not very effective at being able to deal with that because it's just so very slow. Who is going to be the man to deal with that part of the map? Obviously, Dahaka is the main focus, but he won't always be able to do that, and when he isn't able to respond to the Abathur and he's stuck with the Malthael generally, you know, at least holds his own into that 1v1 pretty effectively. So much like game 1, it feels like KSV is using the, well, if you trade and match us, we win into this lane, and if we can win another one, we are going to eke ahead in experience. And
here comes a flank against Chromie, and Arthas with an Abathur head can be extremely scary. Someone needs to get that heal in, and there it is. Chromie with the combo, but that's just not enough. Sake with the speed goes in, and they take her down. The Gnome is dead. Sake, is he going to be punished for it? Yes, he is. So the counter kill here as Ballistics turns up the heat.
And drag on to reset. He doesn't have a Volt for at least another second here. The Totem Slow is there. Magi gets the kill, goes into Ghost Wolf, even dodges the Howling Blast. But it does come at a cost.
Yeah, indeed it does. In the meantime, we have 2 of the altars taken away from Ballistics. Only 1 claimed by them, so 36 against 32 points on the course.
I'm not quite sure if I feel like that is a worth trade. I actually feel like it is.
I would agree that it is, because for a very simple reason. They wouldn't have been guaranteed to get both of these altars if they didn't go for the kills down there. So they get a lot of momentum at the bot lane. And there's actually an argument to be made by a lot of the teams that oftentimes it's not even worth fighting for the 3rd one on this map. As long as you get 1, you're in a good position for the next part of the game. Putting the pressure onto the bot lane, I feel, was worth it, and they weren't guaranteed to get both of those. But ideally, of course, they would have split someone off a little bit faster and tried to at least stall out the top right so that they can claim it later on.
The only reason I feel like I have a bit more hesitation in the situation than maybe normal is just because of the Abathur on the other side to try and pull ahead over top of it with the experience. Reset doesn't have a Volt, so Hooligan, he doesn't even need to throw out the Storm Bolt. Just flexing is enough to scare him away from getting out of that.
I love that, though. The entire time you could see Vala just waiting for the Storm Bolt. It's like, throw it, please, finally throw it. Let me dodge it and try to escape. And it never happened. Hooligan was just sitting there, and Vala boxing herself more and more into a corner, and at some point just accepting fate. Alright, I guess I'm not going to get out of here.
And a little bit back onto that, what I was talking about before with the Abathur is the only reason is I've questioned it more in this type of situation is just when you have the Abathur composition, if you fall too far behind, you can be like, well, you know, at least I'll be able to recover the experience, use that to win the team fight, and then we can make things happen. Hold up, though, on bottom, Hooligan with another great Dwarf Toss. It hits Tisk. He wasn't too afraid here as the team is looking to get collapsed. SC maybe wanting to make it out here as he falls low. Hooligan goes over the wall, but the last tick there onto that Hungering Arrow gets them a kill.
Yeah, it was a nice initiation there and a good thought process, but KSV was able to keep Arthas alive, and then they get the kill here. So at this point, 2 kills against 3. Zhongha starting to take over his position at the top lane again. He soaks the experience. Earlier level 7 on the side of KSV, and they make 1 small deviation on the side of the Carapace build, not going for the network Carapace, so not getting the untalented shield on the minion wave they're trying to push with it, but instead it's the extra slow on the Toxicness, so trying to slow down these rotations.
Interesting decision making not to commit to, because the other variation we saw of that was with the Mule, and it is a debate on whether or not Mule is a go-to pick on a map like Towers of Doom, but it is one of the few where we have seen it, you know, at least show up consistently in competitive heroes. Zhongha hits by a Howling Blast. He's got 1 burrow. That boop, though, a little bit early and in the wrong spot there. Sake putting him in a good position. SC gets the Swift Strike out, but everybody hit by Tis in that Frozen Tempest. There's the Howling Blast. Another kill here for KSV Black.
Yeah, well done here by them, and a lot of pressure now at the top lane, where they immediately get value by taking down towers and more experience on their end. So well done. At this point, also, we still have Chromie at the bot lane, but that top fight is definitely a big problem. Talking about that shield a little bit, I actually really like that they switched away from the level 7 talent, because I don't feel you get enough out of it with that split push. There was a time when it was stronger and you could dominate the map with it, but especially if you're... I made an argument the other day for it that the level 1 talent is the most important one in that setup. Vala taken down with a nice Chromie combi here, going for the time loop. And they could actually just clean this up at this point, but I see is a little bit low. Hooligan is still in. Oh, and the interrupt here as he tries to jump out. Nearly able to stay alive, but then he gets killed. Rich, on the other hand, also low and also dying. It's an all-out bloodbath at the top lane. SC and Jongha are getting out of here. SD is trying to get another kill in. This is just insane.
Honestly, this Tist with this Abathur build and having that half from Kyocha is very scary. It is not to the point where he will be as problematic as he can be, not only because the Abathur scaling up with more talents, but just Arthas post 10 in his heroic in these team fights. You see how difficult it is when Ballistics goes in and things don't maybe work according to plan and the team fight isn't over as effectively as they want it to. He is able to turn these things around, and even without a Vala in some situations. And so I'm really scared to see what this kind of looks like. We're yet to really see an Abathur or Arthas synergy with this style of build come to life successfully. But KSV, I mean, they're KSV Black.
Yeah, I'm actually disappointed that they didn't go for the level 4 talent for Adrenaline Overlord. That's the one thing with the hybrid build where I feel either you commit even more to the toxicness, which with the vileness on 7 you can do, but especially if you are trying to get a little bit more damage in, then the 4 is really helping you out. But the level 1, that's the main target. If you have that extra shield, that can really help you. So the level 4, of course, only gives you a little bit of a persistent shield after you leave with the symbiote. And that only really comes into play if you jump around with Abathur a lot using a symbiote.
Jongha is going to jump in onto Rich. Tormented Soul is immediately used, getting a lot of value there. Oh, look at the health bars of Ballistics. They have to retreat. You see Magi end up hitting the Ancestral, but it might be too late there, as now Jongha goes down. SC quick to follow up. 3 members here dead, and Kyocha on that clone. He is not done. He's got one more W. Can Magi make it out of range? He can, just barely. But that's not quite the case there for poor little Chromie, as that's 4 for nothing.
KSV is absolutely wrecking this. Rich did so much work in that last fight, and that was absolutely brutal. They don't even go for the altar right away, and why would they? They just simply move straight in, take another bell tower, Vala moves back, and tries to claim the altar itself now. And that will put Ballistics down to 19 points on their core. KSV Black with a massive, massive lead here.
It's just, you know, insane to think about this. Game number 3, after the way the game number 1 and 2 went, that they can still keep this type of dominance up against Ballistics, because the narrative you and I walked into is like, we actually believed that this was going to be a possibly all the way to game number 5, very competitive, and even there is a world where Ballistics takes it, but KSV Black just looks absolutely untouchable. They've only had, over the past like 2 months, just moments in games where it seems like they second guess themselves and are threatened or even taken out, but it's never more than just, you know, seconds or a game. It's never a streak. They just say, nope, not today. This is ours.
And it feels more and more like that Tyrell ban is playing a huge role in this.
Yes.
The last map, it was a very clean-cut comp that Ballistics drafted for themselves, which was still very strong, and it was their closest so far. But if you just compare the way they play right now towards the games that were played against Dignitas, for example, it looks like they are really struggling with this. So outside of the Tyrell compositions, they are definitely having issues here. By now, Ballistics has been able to reclaim their bell towers. They're looking at 4 versus 4 again, but we have KSV with the leading experience, have the level 13, and in this case, Abathur has now started to go straight into his symbiote talents. But things are really looking rough for Ballistics. They need to somehow gain some momentum back, close the experience gap, and start to get some pressure on the map itself. And so far, it just doesn't really look like they can.
The scariest thing, I feel like, for the next team fight that we're looking at is normally when I see Malthael being played, especially from non-North American teams, is the major power spike. Even though your heroic really feels like you kind of are a walking heroic for the most part, right? Because it enables so much of the remainder of your kit being dependent on your passive, is that inevitable end, and having the opportunity to just be like, you know how I got in perfect position with this, you know, use of my W? Then you are never going to tell me no. I'm going to choose this fight, and the synergy that it displays there with the range on level 1. Hooligan gets caught out, the Ancestral goes down, but it is too late. And that is now another kill here for KSV, but the timing right next to this altar.
Yeah. Perfect timing for them. Ballistics could have fought on 13 talents if they just stalled it out for a bit longer, but Muradin falls. And the one thing that actually scares me on 13 already is that when we're talking about the shield build, especially the level 4 talent, one of the main purposes is really that you can jump between heroes and leave the persisting shield, but it also increases the actual amount of the shield. And now you have on 13 Soma transference, so whoever is the target is incredibly difficult to kill. If you drop that on Malthael as he goes in, on Arthur as he walks into the backline, you're going to have a really rough time of killing him. Especially, of course, if Lucio then also has a sound barrier ready whenever there's a heavy focus. So, Arthur's with a symbiote at this point, after level 13, how do you even kill that guy? I mean, even a straight-up Chromie combo to the face with everything else being dropped is not going to hurt him too much.
He went for that brush stock to get out of there, but brush stock to a shrub sitting right next to him, and all the members of KSV, sound barrier used to be able to get the peel. Jungha keeps himself alive though long enough. SC is there with the Dragon Blade. Raiden of Vengeance and Tis moving so far forward very aggressively, but they actually get the kill onto Rich. The damage has been done to Ballistics, but I don't think it's enough for them to turn.
Well, they kill Chromie, that's a start, and they also take down the Haka. They are starting to turn this with Kyoja's copy on Malthael already doing an insane amount of work. One of the main reasons why Rich actually even fell in this fight is because we had the copy in play, so Abathar couldn't really help him out with his shield and Soma Transference. If that was still on Rich, I think he could have survived through this.
Probably. Honestly, he might have been able to, so, you know, maybe we should have seen ourselves a monstrosity. No, you know, I'm dropping the meme there. That was that was not real. Versus the argument over the last one to focus onto the hat. 16 talent tier is going to be rounded for KSV. This top bell tower will be converted. Only one sapper consumed, so 2 shots available on top. That has to draw rotations from Ballistics. Bottom shots, and we're looking at, what, 5 per each one? I mean, it's very likely that we see a 1 core HP. There's no way these sappers are going to be let through. Can Ballistics deny one of these? They have to. The
bot lane is the only one that they're going to get. I feel KSV is going to give that up without even trying. But over here, the team fight would already hurt. So they're willing to go for it. His now has the symbiote. And Soma Transference alone puts him up to a really high hit point count immediately after being used for the first time. Hooligan is in trouble. And with trouble, I mean he's dead. And that is going to be the second altar for them. Genji at the bot lane has claimed 1. But with 6 points on the core, this should definitely be them taking Ballistics down to a single hit point on their core. Any kind of zapper, a boss later on, or another ult is going to end this game in favor of KSV Black.
But it takes some preparation. 40 seconds towards that boss. The best decision-making, I feel like, to put in a lose-lose is going to be a double sapper camp, time that around the boss, and then get the bottom bell tower converted over. And as those sappers waddle their way up to that front wall, just start the boss and just go, you can't deny all 5 shots on bottom, nor the 4 shots we're going to get here. But we'll see how KSV, right now it is, you know, to each their own on how to end this game, as they have a colossal lead.
I am just questioning the ability of Ballistics to win a boss fight. No matter when it's forced. With that setup, who is going to contest the point?
I mean, it's very, very difficult. I mean, you would say Muradin, but Malthael has had so much pressure onto him throughout the entire game. You really can't, you know, look at that and go, that's very much going to be an easy tool. Hooligan, though, trying to get the peel and poke back. Rich goes in onto SDE, got a lot of damage. He eats so much there from Chromie, hitting a 3-man Dragon Eye.
Yeah, they claim the bell tower, though, and once again, they're trying to get a kill here. Kyoja is using his copy well, nearly taking down Chromie. He's about to take her down, but here comes the Dragon Blade. That might be enough. Sake is dead. That's a good start. Vala eliminated now, too. A double, a triple kill. And this is going to be an easy quad. 3-4 heroes taken down as Ballistics gets a fair share of experience and a lot of momentum back in the game.
Yeah, it's not enough for me to look at this and be like, you know, they're back into it, because there's still a lot to be done onto this map. But I'm going to be honest, I am absolutely astounded that KSV was not willing to double sapper and go top, that they thought they could zone off of this double sapper on bottom so effectively that they were absolutely confident they could get that. Ballistics played it perfectly, not letting the sappers get anywhere near. The amount of damage SDE hit off that one Dragon Eye was actually ridiculous.
Yeah, Rich walked straight into that. He was trying to escape here, but SDE with a perfect prediction where he would go, and he walks right into it. And I feel that one Dragon Eye alone already won them the fight, or at least made sure that they would be able to take it. So overall, boss is taken. This is actually great for Ballistics, because not only does it put 4 extra shots onto the core of KSV Black, but at the same time, it removes it from the map.
Muradin should be able to zone off Sake. Not even going to get there in time. Not necessary. SDE gets 3 more shots. Going to set her down to 22, but we find ourselves in a very similar situation to what we just saw
before.
Yeah, but you know, the difference between this one and the last one is there's no boss to put in a lose-lose scenario. Nowhere's a double stacked, and the bottom bell tower has been converted back to Ballistics' favor. I mean, this is no longer an easy win condition the same way the last one was, and we saw how easy my air quotes are around the word easy there. It was not. KSV got bodied.
Yeah, okay, I still... Can you see them losing this?
No, I can, yes, but it's very, very unlikely, right? There are so many macro situations that KSV has displayed that they're comfortable putting teams into lose-lose scenarios. They have an Abathur into the very late stages of the game. They have 21 shot advantage, while only 1 needed for Ballistics to have a problem. The biggest silver lining is they have a global to deal with those constant pressure on other parts of the map. And if they catch out a... there's a timeout.
There's a timeout. Chromie on the other hand.
They can't lose her.
She gets the combo. Nope, not quite. They're getting the kill though. Vala is down, but they lose Chromie in the process. And Sake might fall as well. He goes down. SC is once again the savior of Ballistics. He goes in and gets kill after kill. He might still fall here. Rich is trying to drop him. Jumps in deep, but he still does not get the final blow. Same time, Magi is in trouble. Tist is running him down. That's the second kill. 2-for-2 trade here on the map. Both of the teams heading into 16 at this point. But Ballistics throwing everything they got right now against KSV Black.
Yeah, really great job there by Rich to be able to use his passive on the minion just to try and get in range and get his Q onto SC. It wasn't enough to get the kill, but it was still a bit of a cheeky play. 20 Talonteers here for Ballistics. It is a 3 versus 3. Not a single shot can be left up. Hooligan is isolated there, and that is a Malthael that is going to easily be able to get the track down and pressure. You see Rich not giving it up, but maybe out too far. SC.
Abathur.
Stormbolt.
No Abathur has the speed. Where's the hat? Comes in finally. They might get the kill against Hooligan. He's low. Pops Abathur right now. Rich on the other hand is in trouble as the Drac connects, and he goes down. Malthael is dead.
Vala's getting the rotation. She's going to start the channel. Tis just has to hold on. No, Reset's not going to commit to that. He's hesitating. He's making the transition. He finds himself a trap. Drag does not land there onto Tis. SDE is now here, and the rest of KSV is ready to show up.
They're trying to take down Zhongha here, but he goes for the burrow and immediately moves away. Combo does not do enough. Here comes the hits. They don't get the kill against Vala. SC is low. If he falls, this must be lights out. And this has to be it. Abathur gets the kill against Genji. Can they turn it around? Once again, Chromie trying to deliver the final blow, but not able to pull it off. Zhongha falls. Dehaka down. A 5 versus 3 on the map. And KSV Black is trying to get more kills as Tist ends the game, channels the altar, and KSV Black takes down Ballistics with a 3-0.
Absolutely ridiculous play here from KSV. Being able to 3-0 Ballistics after so much momentum game for so long and just made it look easy. It's not over though for Ballistics. Still can fight their way through the loser bracket and have the opportunity to get revenge here over KSV. But I mean,
I don't think that, again, we talk to the teams a lot, and of course also as commentators we're talking a lot about the games here, and no team expected this to be a 3-0 clean cut by KSV Black. No. A lot that were saying, okay, KSV is still taking it. Some have been saying, well, Ballistics is by now so improved that they have not only a shot of taking this, but Wooby, for example. Wooby said, we talked earlier, and he said straight out he thinks that Ballistics is going to take it, and he feels that they can take the tournament. And I thought so too.
Yeah.
But I'm very much reassessing my thoughts on that because, I mean, that was dominant. Map 1, I still brushed it off with them saying, okay, you once again did not put SC on a damage dealer. It's your own fault. You just gave them a free win. Game 2, Game 3, on the other hand, KSV Black playing it so well, especially on the last map. That was just impressive.
Yeah, and we saw with unique heroes, right? A little bit different than what we normally see. Malthael is generally, for any North American fans, if you haven't watched the rest of the world, Malthael doesn't show up nearly as frequently as within your own region. But that was one of the best cases and arguments for it. It was very well done. This 2 tormented souls he hit and almost full value on 3 different targets in those fights. It was really cool to see KSV not sticking to the here's our double reset, we're going to win the game. Like it seems like they almost remind the rest of the world that we are mechanically better than you, and it's just we're going to depend on that, and instead using those other heroes and still